What if I told you that you've been living inside a lie your entire life? Hello there, and welcome to this quiet corner where curiosity gets cozy and science takes the scenic route to slumber. I'd love to know where in the world you're listening from and what time it is right now. Are you watching the last light fade from your window, or perhaps greeting the first whispers of dawn? Tonight, we're going to uncover something that has been hiding in plain sight since the moment you first opened your eyes as a baby. Something so fundamental to your daily experience that questioning it feels almost impossible. Yet once you understand the truth, you'll never look at the world the same way again. The lie is this: you believe that colors exist out there in the world around you. You think the red of an apple is a property of the apple itself. You assume the blue of the sky lives somewhere up in the atmosphere. You take for granted that the green of grass is painted onto every blade by nature itself. But what if I told you that none of those colors actually exist anywhere except inside your mind? Right now, as you listen to my voice, your brain is performing one of the most extraordinary magic tricks in the known universe. It's taking invisible waves of electromagnetic energy and transforming them into the rich, vivid world of color that surrounds you. Every red, every blue, every shade of green you've ever experienced exists nowhere in the physical world. They're creations of your consciousness, painted into existence by the mysterious process we call seeing. This isn't just a fascinating quirk of human perception. This is the first clue in a mystery that reaches into the very heart of what it means to be alive, to be conscious, to exist in relationship with the universe around you. Because if colors don't exist until you see them, then what else might your consciousness be creating that you never realized? The story gets even stranger. You're not the only one creating colors. Every creature with eyes is painting its own version of reality. A bee looking at the same flower you're admiring sees ultraviolet patterns completely invisible to you. A bird overhead might see magnetic field lines painted across the sky in colors that don't even have names in human language. A snake hunting in the darkness sees the heat signatures of warm-blooded creatures glowing like neon signs in frequencies you'll never detect. We're all living in the same world, but we're each seeing completely different versions of it. Each species has evolved its own way of translating the electromagnetic symphony that fills the universe into meaningful information. We're all reading the same book of light, but we're reading it in our own languages, creating our own meanings, painting our own realities. But here's where the mystery becomes deeply personal. Scientists have recently discovered that even among humans, the way we see colors might be as unique as our fingerprints. The red you see might be subtly different from the red anyone else sees. We all use the same words to describe colors, but the actual experience of seeing them might be as individual as our dreams. This means that every person carries within themselves a completely unique colored world. Your inner landscape of color has never existed before and will never exist again. You are the sole inhabitant of a visual universe that is absolutely and entirely your own. Yet somehow, miraculously, we're all connected. The same quantum processes that create color in your mind also operate in the minds of every other conscious creature on Earth. The same electromagnetic radiation that becomes your experience of blue also becomes the bee's experience of ultraviolet, the bird's experience of polarized light, and the butterfly's experience of magnetic fields. This is the beautiful paradox we're going to explore tonight. You are utterly unique and simultaneously connected to everything. Your personal experience of color is like a note in a vast cosmic symphony. individual and irreplaceable, yet harmoniously woven into a song being sung by every conscious being in the universe. But the mystery goes much deeper than just vision. Recent discoveries suggest that the process of seeing colors might involve quantum effects, the strange rules that govern the smallest scales of reality. When a photon of light hits your eye, it might create quantum entanglement between particles in your retina. The very act of seeing might involve the same mysterious forces that Einstein called spooky action at a distance. This raises questions that touch the deepest mysteries of existence. If consciousness plays a role in creating the colors you see, then what is consciousness itself? If quantum effects are involved in vision, then what is the relationship between your awareness and the fundamental structure of reality? Some scientists speculate that consciousness and quantum mechanics might not be separate phenomena at all, but different aspects of the same underlying mystery. The colors dancing in your visual field might be quantum information being processed by quantum systems in your brain, creating the rich tapestry of experience through processes we're only beginning to understand. Tonight, we're going to follow this mystery wherever it leads us. We'll discover how flowers learned to paint themselves with colors that exist only when someone looks at them. We'll explore why certain colors make you feel calm while others energize you. We'll uncover the secret messages written in butterfly wings and the invisible conversations happening between trees. But most importantly, we'll discover that you're not just an observer of nature's color conversation. You're a participant in it. Your eyes are constantly decoding messages written in the language of light. Your brain is translating the electromagnetic symphony of the universe into the personal, intimate experience of seeing. As we begin this gentle journey together, I want you to look around you for a moment. Notice the colors in your immediate environment. The warm glow of lamplight, perhaps, or the soft blue of evening filtering through a window. Remember that these colors exist only because you're there to see them. They're gifts from your consciousness. To itself, daily miracles, so ordinary we've forgotten they're miracles at all. But there's something else you should know. Something that will guide our entire exploration tonight and perhaps change how you see yourself forever. Every color you've ever seen carries a message, not just information about the physical world, but something deeper, something about the nature of awareness itself, about your place in the cosmic conversation that connects all living things. The question is, are you ready to learn what the universe has been trying to tell you through color all along? Because the first message is hidden in the most innocent place you can imagine. In a simple daisy, nodding in a meadow, painted with secrets your eyes have never learned to read. Let me take you back to a moment that changed everything we thought. We knew about the nature of light itself. Picture a room in Cambridge, England, in the year 1666. Outside, the Great Plague has emptied the streets, but inside this quiet chamber, a young man named Isaac Newton is about to stumble upon one of the universe's most beautiful secrets. He's holding nothing more than a simple triangular piece of glass, what we call a prism, turning it slowly in his hands as afternoon sunlight streams through his window. And now we need to discover how a flower learned to write love letters in frequencies you've never seen. Deep inside your eyes, in the velvet darkness behind your pupils, something miraculous is happening right now that would make the most advanced supercomputer seem like a child's crayon drawing. Let me take you on a journey into the most intimate space of your own body, to the place where the universe's language of light becomes the private language of your soul. Imagine shrinking down until you're small enough to walk through the landscape of your own retina. you'd find yourself in a forest of living towers. Nearly 130 million of them, each one reaching toward the light like trees reaching toward the sun. These are your photoreceptor cells, and they're performing chemistry so elegant and precise that scientists are still discovering new layers of beauty in how they work. Each of these cellular towers contains a protein called rhodopsin, and this protein is waiting with a patience that spans millions of years of evolution, waiting for the arrival of a single photon, the smallest possible particle of light, carrying its message across the void between stars and your consciousness. When that photon finally arrives, traveling at the speed of light from its birthplace in the nuclear furnace of the sun, something extraordinary happens. The rhodopsin molecule doesn't just detect the light, it dances with it. The protein literally changes shape, unfolding like a flower opening to dawn, twisting into a new configuration that has never existed before and will never exist again. In exactly the same way, this molecular dance creates a cascade of chemical reactions that ripple through your retina, like stones thrown into a still pond. Calcium ions flow like tiny rivers. Electrical potentials shift like tectonic plates. Within milliseconds, a signal races through your optic nerve toward your brain at 120 meters per second, carrying the news that light has arrived. But here's where the story becomes breathtakingly beautiful. You have 3 different types of these light-detecting cells, and each one is tuned to resonate with specific frequencies of electromagnetic radiation. One type sings most loudly when red light touches it. Another harmonizes best with green frequencies. The third chimes in perfect pitch with blue wavelengths. Your brain is constantly listening to this 3-part symphony, comparing the volume and rhythm of signals from each type of cell. When all 3 sing together in equal voice, you experience white. When only the red section plays forte while the others whisper, you see red. When red and green combine their voices while blue remains silent, you experience yellow, even though there's no yellow light involved at all. Think about that for a moment. Yellow exists only in your mind. It's created by your brain when it compares signals from red and green detectors and finds them both active while blue stays quiet. You're not just seeing yellow, you're composing it moment by moment in the concert hall of your consciousness. This reveals something profound about the nature of perception itself. The colors you see aren't recordings of the world around you. They're active creations, born from your brain's interpretation of electrical patterns. You're not just watching reality, you're painting it into existence with every glance. But the mystery deepens when we realize that this same basic chemistry happens in eyes across the entire animal kingdom. The rhodopsin proteins in your retina are molecular cousins to the light-detecting proteins in the eyes of eagles, soaring miles above Earth, fish swimming in the deepest trenches of the ocean, and insects navigating by the polarized light of the sun. We're all using variations of the same ancient molecular machinery, refined by evolution for different purposes, but sharing the same fundamental design. The chemistry of vision is so successful, so elegant, that nature has used it again and again, like a master musician playing endless variations on a perfect theme. Yet here's what makes this even more mysterious. Those electrical signals racing from your eyes to your brain are just patterns of neural activity. There's nothing inherently colorful about them. They're like Morse code tapped out in the language of neurons, carrying information but not experience. Somewhere, in the transformation from electricity to awareness, from neural firing to conscious perception, the miracle happens. Your brain takes these patterns of electrical activity and creates the rich, vivid, deeply personal experience of seeing color. Scientists call this the hard problem of consciousness, and it remains one of the greatest mysteries in all of science. How does electrical activity become the feeling of red? How does neural firing become the experience of blue? We can map every step of the journey from photon to perception, but that final transformation where electricity becomes experience, where information becomes awareness, remains as mysterious as consciousness itself. This means that every time you see a color, you're witnessing one of the universe's deepest mysteries in action. You're not just detecting light. You're participating in the profound process by which the physical world becomes inner experience, by which the electromagnetic symphony of the cosmos becomes the personal, intimate music of your own awareness. And now we need to discover how. Nature learned to compose symphonies in frequencies you've never heard. Let me tell you about a love story that unfolds in colors you can't see. A romance written in frequencies that exist just beyond the edge of human perception. Picture a meadow on a perfect spring morning. The grass is still jeweled with dew, and a gentle breeze carries the sweet scent of wildflowers across the rolling landscape. In the center of this peaceful scene sits a simple daisy, its white petals catching the early sunlight, looking for all the world like the most innocent flower that ever bloomed. But if you could see through the eyes of a honeybee approaching this meadow, you would witness something extraordinary. That innocent white daisy would suddenly reveal itself as one of nature's most sophisticated billboards, painted with ultraviolet landing strips that guide incoming. Pollinators with the precision of an airport control tower. This is our first glimpse into the deeper mystery of color communication, because what appears simple on the surface reveals infinite complexity the moment we look beyond the narrow window of human vision. The daisy isn't just a pretty flower basking in the morning sun. It's a communication device, a restaurant, a genetic laboratory, and a masterpiece of evolutionary engineering, all woven together into one elegant organism. Those ultraviolet patterns, invisible to your eyes, tell an intricate story to every bee that passes by. They announce the flower's species, advertise the quality of its nectar, indicate whether it's been recently visited by other pollinators, and even provide a detailed map showing exactly where the best rewards can be found. The daisy is speaking, fluent bee, broadcasting its message in the ancient language of ultraviolet light. But the conversation doesn't end when the bee lands on the flower. As the bee moves across the petals, its fuzzy body becomes dusted with millions of pollen grains, each one carrying the genetic information needed to create a new daisy. The bee has become a flying library, carrying messages between flowers across the entire meadow. Here's where the story becomes even more remarkable. Each flower the bee visits can read the chemical signatures of the pollen already dusting its visitor. The flowers can tell instantly which species the pollen came from, whether it's compatible for reproduction, and how fresh the genetic information might be. They're having a chemical conversation that determines the future of their species. Scientists have discovered that flowers can actually change their color signals in real time based on their pollination status. A daisy that has already been successfully pollinated will shift its ultraviolet patterns to essentially hang out a no vacancy sign, directing bees to look elsewhere for nectar. The flower is actively managing its advertising campaign, conserving its resources and helping bees use their time more efficiently. But the communication network extends even deeper. Some flowers can detect the electrical fields generated by approaching bees. As a bee flies through the air, its wings create static electricity, and flowers can sense this electrical signature from several feet away. They're not just communicating with light and chemistry. They're having an electromagnetic conversation that allows them to prepare for visitors before they even arrive. When a flower detects an incoming bee, it can preposition its pollen for optimal transfer, adjust the concentration of its nectar, and even release specific chemical signals that make the bee more likely to visit similar flowers nearby. The entire interaction is choreographed with a precision that would make the most sophisticated dance company weep with envy. This brings us back to our central mystery with new understanding. Color isn't just about pretty wavelengths of light bouncing off surfaces. It's about electrical fields, chemical messages, genetic information, survival strategies, and complex networks of communication, all wrapped up in the simple act of a bee visiting a flower. The innocent daisy in our meadow is revealed as a master communicator. Fluent in multiple languages we're only beginning to understand. It speaks in ultraviolet frequencies to attract pollinators, in chemical signals to communicate with other plants, in electrical fields to detect approaching visitors, and invisible light to create the quiet beauty that brings joy to passing humans. But here's the most amazing part of this story. This single flower is connected to a communication network that spans the entire planet. The carbon dioxide it breathes came from the exhalation of animals thousands of miles away. The sunlight it uses for photosynthesis began its journey in nuclear reactions that happened 8 minutes ago in the core of our sun. The water flowing through its cells may have once been part of clouds over distant oceans, part of ancient rivers, part of the very first life forms on Earth. The colors of that simple daisy aren't just local phenomena. They're part of a global conversation about life, energy, and survival that connects every living thing on our planet to every other living thing across time and space. And this is just one flower in one meadow. Imagine the conversations happening in every garden, every forest, every wild space on Earth, all conducted in the secret language of colors that surrounds us every moment of every day. The story of how humans discovered the secret language of colors is filled with accidental discoveries, brilliant insights, and moments of pure wonder that changed our understanding of reality itself. Let me take you on a journey through time to witness the moments when the invisible became visible. Picture the year 1800, just over a century after Newton's rainbow danced across his Cambridge wall. In the quiet town of Slough, England, astronomer William Herschel is conducting what seems like a simple experiment. He wants to measure the temperature of different colors in the spectrum, so he places delicate thermometers in the path of light, separated by a prism. As expected, red light proves warmer than blue light. But then Herschel notices something impossible. The thermometer placed just beyond the red end of the spectrum, where no visible light falls at all, is recording the highest temperature of the entire experiment. For the first time in human history, someone had discovered that light extends beyond what we can see. Herschel had stumbled upon infrared radiation, invisible heat rays that paint the world in thermal patterns our eyes will never detect. The electromagnetic spectrum suddenly became larger, stranger, and more mysterious than anyone had ever imagined. Just 1 year later, across the Channel in Germany, physicist Johann Wilhelm Ritter made an equally startling discovery. He was experimenting with silver chloride, a chemical that darkens when exposed to light. Curious about what might lie beyond the blue end of the spectrum, he placed the chemical in the seemingly empty space past violet light. To his amazement, the silver chloride darkened even faster than it did in visible light. He had discovered ultraviolet radiation, extending the rainbow in the opposite direction. Suddenly, Newton's complete spectrum was revealed as just a narrow slice of a much vaster electromagnetic ocean. In that single year, humanity's view of light doubled. The visible rainbow that had seemed so complete was now understood to be like seeing only one page in a vast library of electromagnetic radiation. The universe was painted in colors we couldn't see, broadcasting information in frequencies we couldn't detect. But perhaps the most revolutionary discovery came in 1865, when Scottish physicist James Clerk Maxwell realized that light itself was just one form of something much larger. Radio waves, microwaves, infrared, visible light, ultraviolet, X-rays, and gamma rays were all the same fundamental phenomenon, just vibrating at different frequencies, like notes on an impossibly vast cosmic piano. The implications were staggering. If the entire electromagnetic spectrum were stretched across the length of a football field, visible light would occupy less than the width of a human hair. We were living in a universe of invisible colors, surrounded by conversations we couldn't hear, painted with frequencies we couldn't see. This realization opened a floodgate of questions. If there were invisible colors all around us, what creatures might be able to see them? What information might be encoded in these hidden frequencies? What conversations might be happening just beyond the edge of human perception? The answers came gradually as scientists began to study the vision of other animals with new understanding. They discovered that many flowers had ultraviolet patterns invisible to humans, but clearly visible to bees and butterflies. These weren't just random decorations. They were carefully crafted advertisements, roadmaps written in ultraviolet ink to guide pollinators to nectar rewards. Birds, it turned out, could see magnetic fields painted across the sky in patterns that helped them navigate during their incredible migrations. Some could detect the polarization of light, seeing information about the sun's position even through cloudy skies. Snakes could see the heat signatures of warm-blooded prey glowing like neon signs in the infrared darkness. Each species, researchers realized, lived in its own unique colored world. Evolution had fine-tuned their vision to detect exactly the information they needed for survival. Predators developed keen color vision to spot camouflaged prey against complex backgrounds. Prey animals evolved the ability to see approaching predators in frequencies their hunters couldn't detect. Pollinators developed eyes sensitive to the ultraviolet advertisements painted on flowers. But perhaps the most mind-bending discoveries came from studying how different animals process the same visible light. What looked like solid green to human eyes might appear as a complex pattern of different colors to a bird with 4 types of color receptors instead of our 3. Some animals could see polarized light, detecting the orientation of light waves in ways that revealed hidden information about the source and path of illumination. The more scientists looked, the more they realized that each species inhabited its own private universe of color. We were all reading the same electromagnetic book, but in completely different languages, creating our own meanings, painting our own realities from the same fundamental energy, and still, the discoveries continue. Recent research has revealed that some animals can detect quantum effects in light, using quantum entanglement to navigate using Earth's magnetic field. Others can see the polarization patterns created by sunlight scattered through the atmosphere, essentially viewing a compass painted across the entire sky. The secret language of colors, it seems, is far more ancient and sophisticated than we ever dared to imagine. Now we arrive at the heart of the mystery, where the familiar world of colors dissolves into something far stranger and more beautiful than any fairy tale ever written. We're about to enter a realm where the very act of seeing involves the deepest mysteries of quantum mechanics, where particles exist in multiple states simultaneously, and where the boundary between the physical world and consciousness becomes impossibly thin dot deep in the quantum realm, where the normal rules of reality seem to break down completely. Something extraordinary is happening with color. At the scale of individual atoms and molecules, the neat categories of red, blue, and green dissolve into a shimmering dance of possibilities that exists in a state of perpetual maybe. Consider the green you see when you look at a leaf. You might think that chlorophyll molecules are simply green, reflecting green light while absorbing other colors. But the quantum reality is far more mysterious and beautiful than this simple explanation suggests. When a photon of light strikes a chlorophyll molecule, something almost magical happens. The electron in the molecule doesn't just absorb the energy and jump to a higher energy state. Instead, it enters what physicists call a superposition, existing in multiple energy states simultaneously until the moment of observation collapses it into a single, definite state. It's as if the electron is exploring every possible path through the molecule at once, finding the most efficient route through quantum tunneling and coherence. This isn't just abstract physics happening in some distant laboratory. This is the foundation of photosynthesis, the process that powers almost all life on Earth. The incredible efficiency of plants in capturing sunlight and converting it into chemical energy seems to depend on these quantum effects. The energy from absorbed light doesn't just randomly bounce around inside the molecule. It explores multiple pathways simultaneously, always finding the most efficient route to where it needs to go. But here's where the mystery becomes deeply personal. Recent research suggests that the same quantum principles governing photosynthesis might also be operating in your own eyes. When a photon hits a rhodopsin molecule in your retina, the resulting chemical changes might involve quantum coherence, an entanglement at biological temperatures and timescales. This means that the experience of seeing color might be fundamentally quantum mechanical. Every time you see red or blue or green, you might be witnessing the collapse of a quantum wave function, the moment when infinite possibilities become a single, definite experience. The boundary between the wave-like nature of light and your particle-like experience of seeing a specific color might be where quantum mechanics meets consciousness itself. Some animals have taken this quantum conversation even further. Certain birds, particularly European robins, have molecules in their eyes that become quantum entangled when exposed to light. This entanglement is sensitive to magnetic fields, allowing the birds to literally see Earth's magnetic field as colored patterns overlaid on their visual field. They're seeing quantum effects directly, using quantum mechanics to navigate across continents. The implications of this are staggering. These birds aren't just seeing colors, they're seeing the quantum structure of reality itself, using quantum entanglement to detect the invisible threads that connect particles across vast distances. They can perceive the magnetic field lines that curve around our planet, painted in colors that exist nowhere else in their experience. This suggests that the language of color might extend far beyond electromagnetic radiation into the realm of quantum information itself. Colors might be one of the ways that quantum effects propagate through biological systems, carrying not just energy but also the fundamental structural information about the nature of existence. Recent experiments have shown that quantum effects can persist in the warm, wet environment of living cells. challenging our assumptions about where quantum mechanics ends and classical physics begins. The biological world might actually be ideal for certain types of quantum computation, particularly those involved in energy transfer and information processing. This raises profound questions about the nature of consciousness and perception. If quantum effects are involved in vision, what does that mean for our understanding of how awareness emerges from physical processes? Are we quantum beings? Are consciousness intimately connected to the quantum fabric of reality itself? Some scientists speculate that consciousness might be a quantum phenomenon, emerging from the complex interactions of quantum effects in neural networks. The colors you see might be quantum information being processed by quantum systems in your brain, creating the rich tapestry of conscious experience through quantum computational processes we're only beginning to understand. But perhaps the most mysterious aspect of quantum color is the role of the observer. In quantum mechanics, the act of observation seems to play a fundamental role in determining reality. The colors you see might literally be different because you're observing them. Your consciousness might be an active participant in creating the colored world you experience. This brings us to the very edge of scientific understanding, where physics meets philosophy and the nature of reality itself becomes a question rather than an answer. The secret language of colors might not just be about communication between species. It might be about the fundamental way that consciousness and quantum information interact to create the universe we experience. As we drift deeper into this mystery, we begin to see that every act of color vision might be a quantum event, a moment when the possible becomes actual, when the universe chooses one reality from infinite alternatives. The secret language of colors isn't some distant scientific curiosity happening in remote laboratories. Right now, as you listen to my voice, this ancient conversation is flowing through every aspect of your daily life in ways both subtle and profound, shaping your emotions, influencing your decisions, and even regulating the most fundamental rhythms of your body. Let me tell you about the hidden dialogue happening between the colors around you and the deepest parts of your being. As evening approaches and the golden light of sunset begins to paint your world in warm amber tones, something beautiful is happening inside your brain. Those longer wavelengths of red and orange light are signaling to your pineal gland that day is ending, triggering the gentle release of melatonin that will carry you towards sleep. Your body has been reading these color signals for millions of years. Your ancestors evolved under the daily symphony of changing light, from the cool blues and purples of dawn that whispered of new beginnings, through the bright full-spectrum radiance of midday that energized every cell, to the warm reds and oranges of sunset that sang lullabies to weary souls. Your circadian rhythms are still perfectly tuned to this ancient color symphony, even in our modern world of artificial illumination. But the conversation between color and consciousness goes far deeper than sleep cycles. The blue light emanating from your electronic devices isn't just helping you see the screen, it's actively communicating with your brain, mimicking the energizing signals of midday sun and potentially keeping you alert long past your natural bedtime. Your nervous system doesn't distinguish between the blue photons from your phone and those from the morning sky. To your brain, they're speaking the same awakening language. The colors of the food you eat tell stories your body has learned to read over countless generations. The deep purple of blueberries announces the presence of powerful antioxidants called anthocyanins. The vibrant orange of carrots advertises beta-carotene, promising the vitamin A your eyes need to see. The rich green of leafy vegetables whispers of chlorophyll, iron, and folate. Your brain has evolved to find these colors appealing because they signal the nutrients your body craves. Even your emotions dance to the rhythm of color in ways that seem almost magical. When you see red, your heart rate quickens and your blood pressure rises, as if your body is preparing for action or danger. Blue light calms your nervous system, slowing your breathing and reducing stress hormones. Green light, the color of living things, seems to restore your mental energy and reduce eye strain. These aren't just psychological effects, they're physiological responses encoded in your DNA. Through millions of years of survival, your skin is constantly broadcasting information about your inner state through subtle shifts in color that others can detect, even unconsciously. When you're healthy and well-rested, your skin carries a warm undertone that signals vitality to those around you. Stress, illness, or fatigue create barely perceptible changes in your complexion that trigger protective instincts in people who care about you. You're participating in an ancient form of nonverbal communication. Speaking in the universal language of human color, the colors you choose to surround yourself with create invisible currents that influence your mood, creativity, and well-being. Red environments tend to sharpen your focus on details, but can also increase anxiety. Blue spaces promote expansive thinking and creativity, while potentially reducing attention to fine points. Green environments seem to offer the perfect balance, refreshing your mental energy while maintaining both focus and calm. Retailers and designers have learned to harness this knowledge, creating color environments that guide your behavior in subtle ways. Warm colors in restaurants don't just create ambience. They actually stimulate your appetite and create a sense of urgency that encourages faster dining. Cool colors in hospitals and clinics promote healing by reducing stress and creating feelings of cleanliness and trust. Even the colors of your clothing send messages about your intentions, mood, and identity to everyone you encounter. Understanding the secret language of colors can transform your daily experience. You might choose warmer light bulbs in your evening spaces to support your natural sleep rhythms. You could incorporate more green into your workspace to reduce eye strain and mental fatigue. The colors you select for your living space can become tools for enhancing your emotional well-being and supporting your body's natural cycles. But perhaps the most beautiful practical application is simply developing awareness of the constant color conversation happening around you. Every moment of every day, you're receiving and sending color signals that connect you to the natural world and to other living beings. You're part of an ancient communication network that spans the entire planet, participating in conversations that began long before humans existed and will continue long after we're gone. The colors dancing before your eyes aren't just pretty distractions. They're messages from the universe itself, carrying information about light and energy, life and consciousness, connection and meaning. Learning to listen to this language can deepen your appreciation for the profound beauty and complexity of simply being alive in a world painted with light. Let me tell you about a journey so impossible it defies everything we know about navigation, memory, and the nature of consciousness itself. Every autumn, something miraculous happens that reveals the deepest connections between color, quantum mechanics, and the mystery of inherited knowledge. Picture millions of monarch butterflies, each no bigger than your outstretched hand and weighing less than a paperclip, beginning an epic voyage that will carry them up to 3,000 miles from the forests of Canada to the mountains of central Mexico. But here's what makes this journey truly extraordinary. The butterflies making this trip have never been to Mexico before. They're following a map written in colors and magnetic fields that they inherited from ancestors they've never met. This brings us to our second loop, back to the central mystery. Because the monarch's impossible journey reveals how color communication operates across scales of time and space that seem to transcend the normal rules of biology. These delicate creatures navigate using a combination of the sun's position, the polarization patterns of scattered light, and the quantum structure of Earth's magnetic field itself, all painted across the sky in frequencies we can barely imagine. But the story becomes even more mind-bending when we realize that the butterflies making the southward journey are not the same ones that return north in the spring. The northward migration takes multiple generations, with butterflies living, reproducing, and dying along the route. Yet somehow, the navigation information is passed from parent to offspring, encoded in their genes and expressed through their ability to read the electromagnetic signatures of their environment. This suggests that color communication isn't just about individual organisms sending messages to each other. It's about information being stored and transmitted across generations, across species, and across the entire web of life through mechanisms we're only beginning to understand. The monarch's journey is living proof that the language of colors operates as part of a deeper information system connecting all living things across time and space. Recent research has revealed that the monarch's navigation system is even more sophisticated than scientists first imagined. They don't just use the sun's position as a compass. They can detect the polarization patterns created by sunlight scattered through the atmosphere, essentially seeing a detailed map painted across the entire sky. This polarized light creates patterns invisible to human eyes but crystal clear to monarchs, showing them the sun's exact position even when it's hidden behind clouds. Even more remarkably, these butterflies can sense Earth's magnetic field through quantum effects in specialized cells in their antennae. They're literally seeing magnetic field lines as colored patterns overlaid on their visual field, using quantum entanglement to extract navigation information from the planet's electromagnetic signature. They're participants in a quantum conversation that operates at the intersection of consciousness and the fundamental forces of nature. The implications of this quantum navigation system reach far beyond butterflies. It suggests that consciousness itself might be part of a larger information network that operates through electromagnetic fields and quantum effects. The monarch's ability to inherit complex navigation knowledge they've never learned hints at the possibility that information can be stored and transmitted through biological systems in ways that transcend our current understanding of genetics and memory. Consider what this means for our understanding of consciousness and inherited knowledge. If butterflies can receive navigation instructions encoded in their DNA and expressed through quantum sensitivity to electromagnetic fields, what other types of information might be flowing through biological networks? Could the colors we see be carrying information about the deep history of life on Earth, the experiences of our ancestors, or the fundamental structure of reality itself? The monarch's journey also reveals the profound interconnectedness of all life on our planet. The butterflies depend on milkweed plants for their survival, and the plants depend on the butterflies for pollination. The timing of the migration is synchronized with the flowering of plants along the entire route, creating a continental-scale dance of interdependence choreographed by color signals, chemical messages, and electromagnetic fields. This dance extends far beyond the butterflies and plants, to include soil microorganisms that support plant growth, weather patterns that influence flowering times, and even the gravitational effects of the moon and sun that create subtle variations in magnetic field strength. The monarch's journey is possible only because of a vast network of interconnected systems, all communicating through the ancient languages of color, chemistry, and electromagnetism. But perhaps the most profound implication is what the monarch's journey tells us about the nature of time and information. These butterflies are following maps created by evolutionary processes over millions of years, reading color and magnetic signals that carry information about the deep history of life on Earth. In a very real sense, they're time travelers, carrying ancient wisdom forward into the present moment. This suggests that the secret language of colors might be one of the ways information persists across time, connecting past, present, and future in an eternal conversation. The colors you see might be carrying messages not just about the immediate world around you, but about the entire history of consciousness, the evolution of life, and the deepest patterns that shape reality itself. We're standing at the threshold of a revolution in our understanding of color, consciousness, and the fundamental nature of reality itself. In laboratories around the world, scientists are making discoveries that seem more like magic than science, opening doorways to possibilities that could transform how we see ourselves and our place in the cosmic conversation of light. The most startling revelations are emerging from research into how biological systems harness quantum effects for processing color information. Scientists have discovered that the near-perfect efficiency of photosynthesis depends on quantum coherence, lasting far longer than anyone thought possible in warm, wet, biological environments. Plants aren't just passively absorbing sunlight. They're using quantum superposition to explore multiple energy pathways simultaneously, always finding the most efficient route through quantum tunneling effects. But the real breakthrough came when researchers realized that these same quantum principles might be operating in animal vision systems. In carefully controlled experiments, scientists have found evidence that the initial stages of color detection in retinal cells involve quantum effects that persist at body temperature. When a photon strikes a rhodopsin molecule in your eye, the resulting chemical cascade might involve quantum entanglement between molecules, separated by distances that should make such effects impossible. This means that every act of color vision might be a quantum event, a moment when the wave-like nature of light collapses into the particle-like experience of seeing a specific color. Your consciousness might be directly interfacing with quantum mechanics every time you see red or blue or green, participating in the fundamental process by which possibilities become realities. Even more extraordinary is the discovery that some animals can detect single photons of light under the right conditions. Human eyes, it turns out, can register the arrival of individual particles of electromagnetic radiation, suggesting that our vision operates at the very edge of the quantum realm. We're essentially using biological quantum detectors that are more sensitive than any instrument technology has ever created. Scientists working with migratory birds have made even more astonishing discoveries. European robins have cryptochrome proteins in their eyes that become quantum entangled when exposed to light, creating a biological compass that allows them to see Earth's magnetic field as colored patterns painted across their visual field. They're literally seeing quantum entanglement in action, using it to navigate across continents with precision that rivals our most sophisticated GPS systems. The implications for future technology are breathtaking. If we can understand how biological systems use quantum effects to process color information, we might develop new forms of computing that operate at the interface between quantum mechanics and consciousness. Imagine computers that process information the the way your brain processes color, using quantum coherence to achieve levels of efficiency and sophistication that classical computers could never match. Researchers are already working on quantum sensors, inspired by bird navigation systems, devices that could detect magnetic field patterns with unprecedented sensitivity. These quantum compasses might allow us to see the world through the eyes of migrating animals, experiencing the colored magnetic landscape that guides their impossible journeys across our planet. But perhaps the most exciting possibility is what this research might reveal about consciousness itself. If color perception involves quantum effects, and if quantum mechanics plays a role in how conscious experience emerges from neural activity, then understanding the quantum nature of color might be key to solving the deepest mystery in science. How physical processes give rise to inner experience. Future research might reveal that consciousness and quantum mechanics aren't separate phenomena, but different aspects of the same fundamental process. The colors dancing in your visual field might be quantum information being processed by quantum systems in your brain, creating the rich tapestry of conscious experience through quantum computational processes. We're only beginning to glimpse some. Researchers speculate that we might eventually develop technologies that can interface directly with the quantum processes involved in color perception. Imagine being able to extend human color vision to encompass the entire electromagnetic spectrum, seeing radio waves and X-rays as naturally as we now see red and blue. We might experience the ultraviolet advertisements of flowers, the infrared heat signatures that guide nocturnal predators, or the polarized light patterns that paint navigation maps across the sky. Even more profound is the possibility that future discoveries might reveal color as a fundamental language of consciousness itself. The way we see colors might be the key to understanding how awareness emerges from the quantum foam of reality, how information becomes experience, and how the universe gradually becomes conscious of its own existence through countless eyes looking back at the cosmos that created them. These aren't distant science fiction fantasies. They're the logical extensions of research happening right now in laboratories around the world. We're living in a time when the boundaries between physics and consciousness, between matter and mind, between the observer and the observed are dissolving into something far more mysterious and beautiful than we ever imagined. The secret language of colors is revealing itself as nothing less than the conversation between consciousness and cosmos. The way the universe talks to itself through every act of perception, every moment of seeing, every flash of color that dances across the theater of awareness. Now we come to the most intimate part of our journey, where the secret language of colors reveals something profound about the nature of your own consciousness and your irreplaceable place in the vast web of existence. This is our third and final loop back to the central mystery, and it's the most personal one of all. Everything we've discovered about color communication in nature, about quantum effects in vision, about the impossible journeys of butterflies, and the ultraviolet love letters of flowers, leads us back to a single, breathtaking realization. You are not separate from this ancient conversation. You are the conversation itself, made conscious. Think about what happens every time you see a color. Light that began its journey in the nuclear furnace of our sun travels 93 million miles through the vacuum of space, passes through Earth's atmosphere, bounces off objects in your environment, enters your eyes, triggers quantum effects in your retina, generates electrical signals that race through your optic nerve, and somehow, miraculously, becomes the conscious experience of seeing red or blue or green dot. You are the end point of this cosmic journey, the place where the universe's language of light becomes the intimate language of consciousness. Every color you see represents a successful communication between the cosmos and your awareness. You are both the receiver and the creator of the colored world you experience, painting reality into existence through the simple act of seeing. But here's what makes this realization even more profound. The colors you see don't exist anywhere else in the universe. The red of a rose, the blue of the sky, the golden light of sunset exists only in the meeting place between electromagnetic radiation and your conscious mind. You are literally painting the world with color through each moment of awareness, creating beauty that has never existed before and will never exist again in exactly the same way. This means that your inner world of color is absolutely unique. The red you see has never been seen by any other consciousness in precisely that way. The blue that fills your visual field is your blue, created by your awareness in response to the electromagnetic symphony playing all around you. You carry within yourself a universe of colors that belongs to you alone, a private gallery of experiences that exists nowhere else in all of space and time. Yet simultaneously, you're connected to every other conscious being through the shared language of light. The same quantum processes that create color in your mind also operate in the minds of bees reading ultraviolet flower patterns, birds navigating by polarized light, and butterflies following magnetic field maps across continents. The same electromagnetic radiation that creates your experience of blue also creates experiences we can barely imagine in consciousnesses utterly different from your own. This is the beautiful paradox of awareness. You are completely unique and yet intimately connected to everything. Your personal experience of color is like a singular note in an infinite cosmic symphony, irreplaceable and individual, yet harmoniously woven into the greatest song being sung by every conscious being in the universe. If consciousness plays a fundamental role in creating the experience of color, then consciousness itself might be a basic feature of reality, not just an accident of biological complexity. Your awareness might be part of the very fabric of existence, participating in the ongoing creation of the world through every act of perception, every moment of seeing, every flash of recognition when light becomes experience. This perspective transforms how you understand yourself and your relationship to the natural world. You're not just an observer of nature's color conversations. You're an active participant in the process by which the universe becomes conscious of its own beauty. Through your eyes, the cosmos sees its own magnificence. Through your mind, electromagnetic radiation becomes the meaningful, emotional, deeply personal world of color experience. The quantum processes happening in your retina right now are variations on themes that have been playing for hundreds of millions of years. The neural networks creating your color experiences are elaborations of patterns that have evolved again and again throughout the history of life. When you see the green of a forest, you're participating in the same fundamental process that allows leaves to capture sunlight for photosynthesis. When you see the blue of the sky, you're engaging with the same electromagnetic radiation that guides migrating birds. Across vast distances, your consciousness is both ancient and absolutely contemporary, rooted in billions of years of evolution, yet creating something entirely new in every moment of awareness. The atoms in your retina were forged in the hearts of dying stars. The energy you see as color began its journey in nuclear reactions that happened millions of years ago. You are quite literally made of starlight, using starlight to see starlight, in an endless dance of cosmic consciousness becoming aware of itself. As we drift toward the completion of our journey, carry this knowledge with you. You are not separate from the secret language of colors. You are one of its most beautiful expressions, a unique voice in the cosmic conversation that connects all awareness across space and time. Tao. As our gentle journey through the secret language of colors approaches its peaceful conclusion, let's weave together all the threads of wonder we've discovered and see the magnificent tapestry they create when viewed as a single, unified story. We began with a simple question about the nature of color, but we've uncovered something far more profound and beautiful. The secret language of colors isn't just about communication between flowers and bees, or the quantum navigation of migrating butterflies, or the molecular machinery of vision. It's about the fundamental way that information, consciousness, and reality itself are woven together into the seamless fabric of existence. Every discovery we've made connects to every other discovery in ways that reveal the deep unity underlying the apparent diversity of life. The quantum effects in photosynthesis that allow plants to capture sunlight with near-perfect efficiency are intimate relatives of the quantum processes that might be creating your experience of color. The electromagnetic fields that guide monarch butterflies across continents are variations on the same forces that create auroras dancing across polar skies and the polarized light patterns that paint navigation maps across the heavens. The ultraviolet advertisements written on flower petals are created by the same fundamental principles that generate the bioluminescent displays of deep-sea creatures living in perpetual darkness. The color-changing abilities of chameleons and cuttlefish employ molecular mechanisms that are evolutionary cousins to the photosensitive proteins in your own retina. At every level, from the quantum to the cosmic, the language of color reveals itself as a universal grammar connecting all forms of consciousness to the electromagnetic symphony of existence. This integration reveals something beautiful about the nature of understanding itself. Each scientific discovery doesn't just add another isolated fact to our collection of knowledge. It reveals new connections, new patterns, new ways that everything fits together into a coherent, meaningful whole. The story of color is simultaneously the story of how knowledge grows, how understanding deepens, and how the universe gradually becomes transparent to itself through the patient work of curious minds. But the integration reaches far deeper than scientific knowledge alone. The secret language of colors bridges the supposed gap between the objective world of physics and the subjective world of consciousness in ways that suggest these aren't really separate realms at all. The colors you see exist simultaneously as electromagnetic radiation traveling at the speed of light and as deeply personal, inner experiences that exist nowhere else in the universe. They live at the mysterious intersection where mind meets matter, where consciousness encounters cosmos. This intersection might be where the deepest mysteries of existence find their resolution. The hard problem of consciousness, the measurement problem in quantum mechanics, the relationship between information and matter, the nature of time and causality might all discover their answers in understanding how awareness and the physical world dance together in the phenomenon of color perception. The language of colors also reveals the profound interconnectedness of all life across both space and time. Every creature that has ever lived has participated in this conversation, adding its unique voice to an ongoing dialogue that spans billions of years. The colors of long-extinct dinosaurs, the bioluminescence of ancient bacteria, the warning signals of early mammals are all part of the same communication network that includes the colors painting your world at this very moment. This network extends across time as well as space, connecting you to the very first organisms that developed light-sensitive cells billions of years ago. The genetic information that creates color vision has been passed down through countless generations, refined and elaborated but maintaining its essential connection to those primordial conversations between life and light, even the photons creating. Your color experiences carry historical information. The sunlight touching your eyes today began its journey in the sun's core hundreds of thousands of years ago, slowly working its way to the surface before racing across space to reach your consciousness. The starlight you might glimpse on a clear night carries information about the structure and history of the universe itself, written in frequencies that span the entire electromagnetic spectrum. But perhaps the most profound integration is the realization that the secret language of colors is still being written. Evolution continues to shape how creatures see and communicate. New species are developing novel ways of using electromagnetic radiation. Human technology is extending our ability to detect and communicate in frequencies far beyond our biological heritage. You are part of this ongoing story. Every time you see a color, you're participating in the continuation of the most ancient conversation in the known universe. Your consciousness is adding new chapters to the story, creating new meanings, new connections, new possibilities for how awareness and reality interact and evolve together. Understanding the secret language of colors doesn't diminish its mystery. Instead, it deepens the wonder, reveals new questions, opens new territories for exploration. The more we discover about color, the more we realize how much more there is to understand about consciousness, quantum mechanics, the nature of information, and the deep patterns that connect all existence. The secret language of colors is ultimately the story of how the universe becomes conscious of its own beauty through countless eyes, countless minds, countless moments of recognition when light becomes awareness and matter becomes meaning. And so we come to the gentle end of our journey through the secret language of colors. Though, like all the most beautiful mysteries, this one doesn't really conclude. It simply opens into deeper wonders, more profound connections, and richer meanings than we ever imagined when we first began to explore. What seemed like the simple question of why flowers are colorful and skies are blue. Tonight, we've traveled together through realms both vast and intimate, from the quantum mechanics of individual photons striking your retina to the cosmic journey of starlight across billions of years of space and time. We've discovered the ultraviolet love letters written on flower petals and the magnetic field maps painted across the sky for migrating butterflies. We've witnessed the impossible navigation of monarch butterflies and explored the ancient conversation between your consciousness and the electromagnetic symphony that fills the universe. Through it all, we've uncovered a truth more beautiful and profound than any single scientific fact. You are not separate from this magnificent conversation. You are part of the secret language of colors, a unique and irreplaceable voice in the cosmic dialogue that connects all conscious beings across space and time. Every color you see is a word in this ancient language, every moment a vision, a sentence in the ongoing story of how the universe comes to know and appreciate its own beauty. As you settle deeper into comfort now, let this knowledge bring you a profound sense of peace and belonging. The colors that have surrounded you today, the gentle hues of evening light filtering through your windows, the warm glow of familiar spaces, the soft colors that dance behind your closed eyelids, are all part of this vast communication network that embraces you like the most loving cosmic lullaby ever sung. Think once more of the simple daisy we met at the beginning of our journey, with its ultraviolet landing strips guiding bees to hidden nectar. Remember that you, too, are both sender and receiver in this ancient conversation. Your eyes are constantly translating the language of light into the language of consciousness, and your brain is painting the world with colors that exist nowhere else in the universe except in the private, sacred theater of your own awareness. Feel the gentle wonder of knowing that the red you see is yours alone, never before experienced by any other consciousness in exactly that way, yet, at the same time, connecting you through the quantum processes of vision to every other aware being that has ever lived. The colors in your mind link you to bees reading flower advertisements, to birds navigating by magnetic field patterns, to deep-sea creatures communicating with living light in the eternal darkness of ocean depths. Let your breathing slow and deepen as you contemplate this beautiful paradox. You are utterly unique and simultaneously connected to everything. Your personal experience of color is like a note in an infinite cosmic symphony, individual and irreplaceable, yet harmoniously, woven into the greater song being sung by the universe itself through every conscious being as drowsiness begins to take gentle hold. Imagine the conversations still happening all around you in frequencies you cannot see. In the darkness outside your window, infrared communications continue between warm-blooded creatures. In the depths of the ocean, bioluminescent messages flash between animals that have never seen sunlight. Plants are making subtle adjustments to their color communications based on the changing conditions of night, preparing for tomorrow's dance with POLLINATORS. The universe continues its ancient conversation even as you rest, and you remain an essential part of that conversation. The atoms in your body were forged in distant stars. The quantum processes in your cells connect you to the fundamental structure of reality itself. Even in sleep, you are participating in the ongoing creation of the colored world through the miracle of consciousness. Thank you for joining me on this journey through the secret language of colors. If this exploration has brought you joy and wonder, know that there are countless other mysteries waiting for us to discover together in future journeys. The languages of sound and touch, the chemistry of taste and smell, the physics of motion and time, all hold secrets as profound and beautiful as those we've uncovered tonight. For now, though, let yourself drift peacefully into sleep, carried by the knowledge that you are part of something magnificent beyond words. You are a conscious participant in the universe's ongoing conversation with itself, a unique voice in the cosmic choir, a living bridge between the objective world of electromagnetic radiation and the subjective world of inner experience. Rest well in the embrace of this ancient language. Dream in colors that have never been seen before and will never be seen again. You are both translator and translation in the secret language of colors, and the conversation continues even as you sleep, painting new worlds of meaning and beauty in the gentle theater of your dreams. Sweet dreams, fellow traveler in the cosmic conversation of light and consciousness.